and confidence simply cannot defeat injury. That's exactly where Carlos Alcaraz finds himself right now, and the latest update surrounding his recovery has left tennis fans with more questions than answers. While there is finally some encouraging news, one major concern refuses to disappear. Will the reigning U.S. Open champion actually return in time for the Cincinnati Open, or is the comeback taking longer than anyone expected? And perhaps the biggest question of all, what does this mean for his chances of defending one of the biggest titles of his career? For months, the tennis world has missed one of its brightest stars. Carlos Alcaraz has not competed since suffering a painful right wrist injury during his opening round victory at the Barcelona Open back in April. Although he managed to win that match, the damage proved serious enough to force him into one of the longest breaks of his young career. Since then, fans have watched one tournament after another pass without seeing the Spanish superstar on court. Roland Garros came and went. Wimbledon followed. The Masters 1000 events in Madrid and Rome also took place without the explosive shot, making and fearless athleticism that have become Alcaraz's trademark. Naturally, speculation has grown with every passing week. Many expected him to make a quicker recovery, especially considering his incredible physical conditioning and youthful energy. However, wrist injuries are among the trickiest problems a tennis player can face. Every forehand, backhand, serve, volley, and return depends heavily on wrist strength and stability. Returning too early could transform a temporary setback into a season-ending disaster. That is exactly why Alcaraz and his team have chosen patience instead of unnecessary risk. According to respected Murcia-based journalist Javier Varela, the latest signs are definitely encouraging, but they are far from a green light for competition. Alcaraz has finally returned to practicing on court, which is an important milestone after months away. However, there is one crucial detail that many fans might overlook. His training sessions remain extremely limited. He is hitting balls at moderate intensity, but he is not yet playing full practice sets or competitive match simulations. That tells us his recovery is still carefully controlled rather than complete. This cautious approach actually says a lot about how seriously his medical team is treating the injury. Elite athletes often face enormous pressure to return as quickly as possible. Fans want to see them. Sponsors expect appearances. Tournament organizers hope their biggest stars will compete. But experienced professionals understand that a few extra weeks of patience can protect an entire career. At just 23 years old, Alcaraz has already won 7 Grand Slam titles and established himself as one of the defining players of his generation. Sacrificing long-term health simply to appear in one tournament would make very little sense. Still, the calendar creates a fascinating dilemma. Alcaraz has already withdrawn from the Canadian Open, eliminating what would have been an ideal opportunity to rebuild competitive rhythm. His name remains on the Cincinnati Open entry list, but that no longer guarantees anything. In fact, the latest report suggests his participation is still uncertain despite the positive progress being made behind the scenes. Even if he does travel to Cincinnati, there is no expectation that he will be anywhere near 100% physically. That raises an important strategic question. Is it even worth playing if he cannot perform at his usual explosive level? History tells us that returning from injury is rarely straightforward. Match fitness cannot be recreated entirely in practice. There is a massive difference between hitting controlled practice balls and surviving 2 or 3 hours against the world's best players under tournament pressure. Timing, movement, confidence, and decision-making all return gradually. Even the greatest champions often need several matches before finding their rhythm again. Expecting Alcaraz to immediately dominate after months away would simply be unrealistic. The situation becomes even more intriguing when we look ahead to the U.S. Open. As the defending champion, Alcaraz carries enormous expectations. Normally, players heading into a Grand Slam want at least one warm-up tournament to sharpen their games. Cincinnati has traditionally been the perfect preparation event because it features elite competition on similar hard courts. If Alcaraz skips Cincinnati entirely, he could enter New York without a single competitive match since April. That would be one of the most unusual title defenses in recent tennis history. On the other hand, writing off a player like Carlos Alcaraz has never been a smart idea. Throughout his career, he has repeatedly shown an incredible ability to adapt, surprise, and perform under pressure. His explosive movement, fearless mentality, and willingness to attack from every area of the court have helped him overcome difficult situations before. Those qualities will still be there once he is medically cleared. The biggest unknown is simply whether his body will allow him to play with complete freedom. Another interesting aspect is the psychological challenge of returning after injury. Physical recovery is only part of the battle. Athletes must also rebuild trust in their bodies. Every aggressive forehand, every diving volley, and every powerful serve comes with a small mental question: will the wrist hold up? Eliminating that hesitation often takes time, regardless of how healthy a player may actually be. Confidence grows through successful matches, not just successful practice sessions. The ATP Tour has continued moving forward during Alcaraz's absence, with rivals collecting valuable ranking points and building momentum. That means whenever he returns, the competition will be tougher than ever. Yet the Spaniard has already proven countless times that he belongs among the sport's elite. Nobody doubts his talent. Nobody doubts his determination. The only uncertainty surrounds the timeline. Ultimately, this recovery appears to be following exactly the kind of careful plan that fans should appreciate rather than criticize. It may feel frustrating to wait longer for one of tennis's biggest stars, but protecting a career is always more important than rushing back for immediate headlines. If everything continues progressing positively, Cincinnati remains a possibility, even if it is far from guaranteed. If not, every decision will likely be made with one ultimate objective in mind: giving Carlos Alcaraz the best possible chance to compete at his highest level for many years to come rather than risking another setback. Now the spotlight shifts to the coming weeks. Every practice session, every medical update, and every training video will be watched closely by millions of tennis fans around the world. Will Carlos Alcaraz make his long-awaited return in Cincinnati? Will he defend his U.S. Open crown despite months away from competition? Or should his team continue prioritizing long-term health over short-term success? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Alcaraz should play Cincinnati even if he isn't fully fit? Or should he wait until he feels completely ready? We'd love to hear your predictions. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join Sportsnest USA for more in-depth tennis coverage as the road to the U.S. Open continues.